Alrighty, g'day guys, welcome back to another episode of Flashlight Crazy. Today I am going to do a comparison video between the Nitecore P30i and the Olight Javelot Pro 2. Let's check them out. Alright, so obviously there is a massive difference in size between these two, okay? So some of you may think that this is an apples to oranges comparison. Personally, I don't think so. I think that this is actually, that these two are actually quite similar in a lot of ways. I will go over their similarities shortly, but just to start off with, I'm going to go over the design and feel of each of them. So starting off with the Olight Javelot Pro 2, look, we've got a very large head here, which is, indicative of a beautiful thrower. You've got your typical blue bezel on the black. You've got your blue on the black in the side switch as well. So really, really nice to see that typical Olight coloring. Down there in the lens, you've just got this gorgeous, gorgeous LED. Looks to me like it could be an SFT 70, but I'm not certain about that. But very, very deeply embedded in that smooth reflector there. Now on the side of the head, you've got what seemingly looks like heat sinks, as well as this gorgeous swirling pattern all the way around. It's kind of mesmerizing when you look at it for too long. And then you've got these really deep and seemingly very useful heat sinks area on the neck here. And then they go all the way around until they hit this beautiful side switch. This has got to be one of my favorite Olight side switches, or any switch. If they put it on the tail, I'd probably like it too, because you click it and immediately your battery level indicator comes up. And then when you turn the light on, you see what level you're on, and then cycle up, it cycles up too. So it's really, really cool and very, very useful to have that on a light. I really like that. And then now if we look all the way down here at this body, it is a very long body, but it's not a very difficult light to handle. I do think that is because the body actually bears most of the weight in this light, whereas the head is not as heavy as the body. So for that reason, I would say that it's a very comfortable light to hold. Even when you want to hold it at the tail switch like that, it's not difficult at all to hold it like that. It's not like the head's weighing me down at all. And then of course, if we look at the tail switch here, it is your typical Olight magnetic tail switch, and it is the 2-stage half press to low, full press to turbo tail switch. Now, just looking over here at the Nitecore, starting off at the bezel, we've got that nice little raised edges all the way around, gives it a nice look. And as well, standing on it, you'll be able to see if the light's on, which is really cool. Then down there, embedded in that beautifully enormous, long, smooth reflector, you can see, I don't know what LED it is. Sorry guys, but you can see the LED embedded down there. Now on the head, you've got your side switch, which is, it's not as useful as the Olight's switch, I must say, because if I just click it, it does nothing. But when I press and hold, it initiates turbo as a momentary turbo. So that is pretty cool, because you can still initiate turbo whilst holding it down. And then when you let go, it just shuts off. I think that's most useful for when the light's actually on. And let's say the light's on in low mode, and then you press and hold, it becomes turbo, and then you press again, it goes back to low. So I like that function of it, but it's not the most useful side switch, certainly not as useful as the Olight's. Now, if we come down here at the neck there, you've got honestly some of the deepest heat sinks I've ever seen. They are just very, very deep. You're definitely going to see some heat dispersing in that neck for sure. That's going to really, really add to your runtime on turbo. And then one thing I really love about this light, it's probably the favorite thing, my favorite function of this light, is the body. So it is a 21700 light that just wastes absolutely no fat. You know, you're holding this this as a tactical light like this, and it's just so comfortable. This body is very, very well done by Nitecore. I really think that their innovation and technology, being able to house a 21700 in a slim body like this, is very, very important, and I hope they continue to do that. And then the tail cap does kick out just slightly, and you've got their a forward clicky tail switch, as well as your charging port here. And the charging port acts as not only a charging port, but also a port to connect your pressure switch onto as well. And I should have mentioned this area here on the Olight is also for a pressure switch, hunting pressure switch to be mounted. Now, let's just do some comparisons. So here we have the torches side by side. You can see the difference in LEDs, the difference in the smooth reflectors. It looks to me as though perhaps the Olight's is slightly deeper, but it's definitely not by much. And difference in tail caps, typical Olight tail cap, and very, very typical Nitecore forward clicky switch. And now, of course, we're going to see some stark differences here. So we've got the Olight from head to tail coming in at 25.5 centimeters, whereas the Nitecore is a lot more stubby and comes in at about 17.5 centimeters from end of the bezel to end of tail clicky. Now the face of the Olight is 6 centimeters exactly, and the face of the Nitecore is 6.4 centimeters wide. Size of the body of the Olight is about 2.6 centimeters, maybe 2.5, and the size of the body of the Nitecore is 2.5 as well. And the tail cap of the Nitecore will kick out to 2.7 centimeters, which makes all the difference in grip. And the tail cap in the Olight will also kick out to about the same, 2.7. So the only major difference between these two is obviously the length. That is because the Olight has a battery pack as opposed to just the 21700 battery. So if I just pull it apart, that is your battery pack for the Olight. That is what's giving it the length and in fact the weight as well. Yeah, the head does not weigh as much as the battery pack. Now, while I've got it disassembled, I will just weigh them all in bits. So we've got 197.8, let's say 198 grams plus 198. Wow, they weigh the same. The head and the body weigh exactly the same. So 198, that's about 396, and then 27. So about 423 grams it all weighs together. And the Nitecore is 256 grams plus 76. So that'll come to roughly 330 grams. So understandably, the Olight is much heavier. And that is, of course, what you would expect with something this size as opposed to something this size. Now, just giving you a look at them right on top of each other, next to each other, whatever you want to call it, just to show you the length difference. Now, let's go over some of the specs. So the Olight over here has a maximum throw of 1,050 meters, whereas the Nitecore has 1,000 meters max throw. The Olight has 217,400 candela, whereas the Nitecore has 250,000 candela. Very strange when the Olight has more throw. So I don't really get that. Now the Olight has a max output of 2,500 lumens, which you'll get for 5 minutes before it steps down. And the Nitecore has a max output of 2,000 lumens, which you'll get for 30 minutes straight, but it does not give you a specified step down time. The next output down for the Olight is 600 lumens, and the next output down for the Nitecore is 1,000 lumens. Now, you will get 1,000 lumens for 1.5 hours on the Nitecore. The next output down for the Olight is 150 lumens, whereas the next output down for the Nitecore is 385 lumens. Next output down for the Olight is 15 lumens, whereas the next output down for the Nitecore is 85 lumens. And then there are no more outputs for the Olight, but for the Nitecore, there is another output, which is a 6 lumen output. So an ultra low output. Now, both these lights are rated at IP68 water resistance, so 2 meter submersibility, as well as they both passed the 1 meter drop test. So kind of similar in their UI, but really different as well. So 2,500 max, 2,000 max, and then a major step down, which is 600 lumen, is the next output, whereas this one has 1,000. So I do think the Nitecore comes out ahead just because it's got one extra output mode, and the distance between output levels is more even than the Olight, because the Olight has, you know, a massive drop from 2,500 lumens all the way down to 600 lumens. Whereas the next one down for the Nitecore is 1,000 lumens. So let's go over the UI. So with the Olight, from the side switch, if you press and hold, it'll come on into your last known output. And then to cycle, all you do is just press. And each time you press the side switch, it'll cycle up. Once you get to turbo, press it again, just goes down to the bottom, cycles all the way through, and just keeps going. Now, how you turn it off, press and hold, done. But from the tail cap, if you half press, you'll get to your low mode of 15 lumens, and full press, get to your max output of 2,500 lumens. So very cool that it has an instant access to ultra low and an instant access to turbo. I love that about this light. Now, the Nitecore, as I touched on before, the side switch only gives you momentary access to turbo. That's it. But the tail switch turns it on in your last known output from when the tail switch was activated. And then to cycle is the same as the Olight. You just press once. So press once, press once, press once. And once you get to turbo, it'll just cycle back down. So we've got 6 lumens, 85 lumens, 385 lumens, 1,000 lumens, 2,000 lumens. Now, the cool thing about this side switch when you're holding it everyday carry hold is, as I showed you, if I'm on low mode and I press and hold, it comes onto turbo, and it's constant turbo. So to get rid of that, I just press once and it comes back to my last output that I was on. You can do that from any output. So it's really nice to see. But to turn this light off, you do need to tail click. All right, so just looking at the beam there, we do have a very similar hotspot. As I said, very similar amounts of candela, although more candela in the Nitecore, but 50 meters more throw in the Olight, but also 500 more lumens in max output in the Olight than the Nitecore. And if we just have them on the wall there, the Nitecore looks to be not as cool a white as the Olight, and it is blinding to look at them on the wall, so I just cannot. But the Olight, it seems to be a very cool white, like probably 6,500 plus kelvins, whereas the Nitecore could pass for maybe just 6,000 kelvins, I reckon. But then if we just look at the spill there, the Nitecore really does have a far more attractive spill, in my opinion, than the Olight. I don't know what it is. It could just be the color difference. Definitely the outer circle is more smooth because of the bezel on the Olight. It gives it a bit of a look, like a crunchy look, like teeth. But all in all, very cool to see. As you can see with the Nitecore there, you're getting a bit of that donut hole when I come closer, whereas you're not getting that with the Olight. And as far as heat, they both feel just as hot as the other one right now. Perhaps the Nitecore might be a little bit warmer, but not hot at all. They're not hot. So that's really nice to see as well from both of these lights. And look, I mean, when choosing one of these lights, it's gonna come down to price, which I'll tell you in a second, but also size. I mean, the Nitecore is a lot more user-friendly for size. Whereas the Olight, you know, it's a big light. You need a lot of room to house this light. You can pull it apart, not a problem. But you know, I think that's going to come into account when people are making the choice between these two. Now, speaking of price, the Nitecore comes in at $324 Australian from Lightshop, and the Olight comes in at $290 Australian from Lightshop as well. So that's definitely going to play a role in or play a part in how you choose to buy one of these lights. Now guys, you can get both of these from lightshop.com.au. I will leave links directing you straight to them, and I will also leave some discount codes as well for you to access. But before we finish up, let's go outside, check out how these do at night time over in the park, and we'll be back for the final thoughts. See you in a sec. All right, we have the Javelot Pro 2 up against the Nitecore P30i. That tree is about 200 meters away. There's the P30i. There's the Javelot Pro 2. P30i, Javelot Pro 2. I don't know what it is about Nitecore, but their spill is just beautiful, man. Javelot Pro 2, P30i. I mean, it's freaking beautiful, right? I mean, so is the Javelot, but the Nitecore is just clean and crisp. But as far as the hotspot, oh man, no, the Javelot's hotspot absolutely smashes it. Nitecore, when it gets further out, the hotspot kind of blends in with the spill, whereas the Javelot has still a very distinct hotspot of that is what I'm looking at, you know what I mean? Whereas the Nitecore just kind of blends. Now, I don't know how long the runtime on turbo is for Nitecore because it doesn't specify it, but the Javelot's is 5 minutes. So I'm not gonna do this for 5 minutes, but mate, that is impressive. Javelot Pro 2, P30i Nitecore. All right, see ya. All right, so it's a real hard one because the Olight has a far more distinct hotspot, but the Nitecore, I prefer its spill and I prefer its size. So they are roughly the same weight, although the Olight's weight is dispersed across this light, whereas the Nitecore doesn't feel very heavy in your hand just because it's so short and stubby. So it is going to play a role, the size, guys. I'm sure the price is also going to play a role, but you know, the camera doesn't lie, and the Olight definitely has a more distinct hotspot at a further distance than the Nitecore does. So that could also play a role. Now, which one would I pick? This is a real tricky one, guys. I don't want to sit on the fence for you. I do want to come out choosing one, but it's really, really tricky. The reason why it's so tricky is because honestly, I prefer the hotspot at a distance with the Olight. I just do, but I prefer the size in the Nitecore. And to be honest, I'm going to choose size over hotspot. That's just how it's going to be for me. I really love the momentary turbo that Nitecore gives you. I really do. I don't love that you can't turn it on and off from the side switch though, but the size is what really attracts me to this light, and it can pretty much do everything the Olight can do, but in a smaller package. Now, that being said, the Olight is a brilliant, brilliant light. It is honestly a better performer out in the field from what I have seen, particularly in run times, output, distance, and just hotspot at a distance. However, the Nitecore does not fall much behind the Olight, in my opinion, except for maybe runtime on turbo. That is a major difference. But the size that you get is what I'm attracted to, and I'm not someone that's going to be using turbo for more than bloody a few seconds. I'd use this light on high, on the 1000 lumen high, and get it for a good hour and a half. And if I'm camping for more than an hour and a half, then I'm an idiot if I don't take a spare battery anyway. So that's going to be my choice. I'm going to choose the Nitecore, but really, really tough decision, guys. And yeah, it's purely just the size. If the Olight was the same performance but in the Nitecore size, I wouldn't even think twice. It would be the Olight. All right, guys, thanks very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video today, and don't forget to stay cool and stay safe. See ya.